If you find yourself drawn to the darkness, to those places where true crime meets the truly baffling, well, you've come to the right place. We're stepping away from the usual analysis today, diving into something a bit more narrative, more chilling. We've gathered sources on 5 cases, disturbing cases that for a long time were just these terrifying, impenetrable mysteries. So today we're going to tell these stories, follow them from that first moment of confusion and fear, right through to the truth. And often that truth is, well, even more disturbing than anyone imagined. Stories of desperation, twisted obsession, and calculated evil. Let's start with one that sounds almost like folklore, but it's grimly real. The severed feet of British Columbia.
Right. This one's fascinating because it shows how perfectly natural processes combined with modern stuff can look like something sinister.
Exactly. So get this. Since 2007, human feet, severed, still inside running shoes, started washing up on the shores of British Columbia, Canada. It's a disturbing count. 16 feet so far. And the really strange part, only 2 of those made a matching pair, a left and a right from the same person. The others, 14 different individuals.
Just the feet.
Just the feet, and seemingly only starting after 2007. Why?
Well, as you can imagine, the speculation went wild initially. Our sources mentioned people immediately thinking the worst.
Like serial killers.
Serial killers, yeah, or maybe drug cartels, human traffickers,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Even medical students playing some horrific pranks.
And investigating it must have been a nightmare. I mean, a human foot can float. How far?
Up to 1,000 miles. Yeah. So, yeah, finding the origin point, almost impossible.
The fear was real. You saw that quote right from the person who found the 5th foot.
Yes, it's quite unsettling. He suggested foul play, saying something like, if they tied a chain around someone's ankle, the foot would just pop off. He thought someone had to be doing this deliberately.
That's the kind of conclusion you'd jump to, finding something like that. But the forensic science, it painted a different picture.
A very different picture. Less sinister, maybe, but deeply tragic nonetheless. Investigators concluded most victims were likely people who died by suicide, often jumping from the Pattullo Bridge in New Westminster, or they drowned accidentally.
Okay, so drowning victims, but why only the feet in sneakers?
That's the key. It comes down to the shoes themselves. Modern running shoes, they're buoyant, foam, rubber. So the body decomposes underwater. Scavengers play a role. But the shoe, laced up tight, maybe with a sock inside, acts like a little protective shell for the foot.
Ah, okay.
Once the ankle joint decomposes naturally, which happens in water, the shoe and the foot inside just detach and float.
So the running shoe itself, because it floats so well, is why we get feet washing ashore and not, say, hands or other parts.
Precisely. You don't find feet in sandals or high heels washing up, right? It's the material properties of the running shoe creating this specific phenomenon. Forensics linked 2 feet to individuals known to have mental illnesses, 3 others to deaths by natural causes.
And the 2007 date, it wasn't actually new then.
Apparently not. It seems these had likely happened before, but 2007 was when it really hit the media in a big way. Widespread publicity meant people started noticing them more, looking for them almost. So it created this illusion of a sudden, new, terrifying trend.
Wow. So natural decay plus modern footwear equals an international mystery.
Right.
That's something. Okay, from the mundane made macabre, let's turn to genuine, sinister intent fueled by obsession. Deep obsession.
This next case really pushes the boundaries of, well, what you'd call devotion versus just grotesque delusion.
We're going to Key West, Florida. The year is 1931. The story revolves around Maria Elena Milagro de Hoyos. She was just 21, Cuban-American, known for her beauty, but tragically, she was dying from tuberculosis. Treating her was a German-born doctor named Karl Tanzler. And he became, well, obsessed isn't strong enough, deeply infatuated while she was his patient. He gave her gifts, confessed his love, but couldn't ultimately save her life.
And after she died, his behavior just got stranger and stranger. He paid for everything. The funeral, an expensive above-ground mausoleum. Her family couldn't afford it, so they were initially, grateful for this grand gesture. He visited her tomb every single night for 2 years.
But even that wasn't enough for him. 7 years after Elena died, her family went to visit the grave, and it was empty. Her body was gone. Stolen by Tanzler. He had this whole backstory. Claimed he'd seen Elena in childhood visions, that some ancestor spirit revealed her as his true love. Death was just an obstacle. So one night he went to the mausoleum, took her body, and wheeled it home in a child's toy wagon.
The sheer nerve of it. And then what he did next.
This is where it goes from deeply sad to just profoundly disturbing. Elena's body, after 2 years in a Florida tomb, was obviously decomposing badly. Tanzler spent the next 7 years in his home performing this gruesome upkeep. He replaced her eyes with glass eyes, used wax and plaster, kind of molded over the decaying flesh. He threaded a wire, coat hangers even, through her torso and limbs to give the body some structure, some rigidity. Her hair fell out, so he made a wig from it. He stuffed her insides, the chest and abdomen, with rags to fill her out.
Basically creating a life-size decomposing doll.
Exactly, a human doll. He dressed it in clothes, put jewelry on it, constantly doused it with perfumes and disinfectants to fight the smell, and he slept beside this creation every night for 7 years.
Just unbelievable. And when he was finally caught,
He was arrested, yes, but the charges for grave robbing, they were dropped. The statute of limitations had run out.
and stranger still, public opinion was weirdly split. Some people in Key West actually saw him as this sort of eccentric romantic, obsessed, sure, but maybe well-meaning in his twisted way. He died years later, age 75. One account says he died with a small effigy, like a doll of Elena, beside him. His obsession never left him.
From that kind of solitary inward obsession, let's shift gears to an obsession fueled by a need for notoriety for public attention. The case of Paul Michael Stefani, the weepy-voiced killer.
This one is chilling because of the killer's interaction with the authorities.
Minneapolis, 1981. A 911 operator gets a call. It's a man, sobbing, hysterical, hard to understand at first. He finally gasps out, "Finally, I just stabbed somebody with an ice pick. I can't stop myself. I keep killing somebody."
Police followed up, found the victim, Kimberly Compton, only 18, stabbed 61 times. He got the name Weepy Voice Killer immediately, and he didn't stop calling.
Right, it wasn't just the one confession. He called back 2 days later, crying again, saying sorry, blaming it on being drunk. But then a third call. This time, he wasn't apologizing. He was calling to correct details in the newspaper reports about the murder. Minor inaccuracies.
That's the really telling part, isn't it? It suggests it wasn't just about guilt, it was about control. Control over the story, the attention. He enjoyed the notoriety, the fear he was creating. He went on to kill again. Kathleen Greening drowned in her bathtub. Then Barbara Simmons, stabbed over 100 times.
But his killing spree was stopped, quite dramatically, by his next intended victim, Denise Williams, 21 years old. He picked her up, offered her a ride home, but then drove down a dark, dead-end street. She knew something was wrong. She spotted an empty bottle on the car floor and grabbed it, just in case.
Good instinct.
He pulled out a screwdriver and started stabbing her repeatedly. But Denise fought back. She smashed that bottle right over his head.
Caused a serious injury.
Yeah, he started bleeding heavily. That moment of shock gave her the chance to escape the car and run.
And then came the twist. The final irony.
Moments later, 911 gets another call. The dispatcher picks up and instantly recognizes the voice, sobbing, distressed.
It was him, the weepy-voiced killer.
But he wasn't calling to confess another murder or correct the news.
No, he was calling for an ambulance. For himself. The head wound Denise gave him was bad enough that his own survival instinct kicked in, overriding everything else.
That need for self-preservation undid him. He was identified as Paul Michael Stefani, a janitor. History of mental illness. He apparently said later that murder felt as normal to him as like driving a car or eating a meal, just chilling. He was convicted, died in prison in 98.
His own desperate call for help exposed him. The control he craved just evaporated.
That theme of control and maybe notoriety takes us to our last and perhaps most bizarrely complex case, Brian Wells and the collar bomber. This wasn't impulsive. This felt like a performance piece, a truly evil one.
Yeah, this case is intricate, a lot of moving parts.
Pennsylvania, August 28th, 2003. A pizza delivery guy, Brian Wells, 46 years old, walks into a bank. He's holding a strange-looking cane. And around his neck, there's this large metal collar, a bomb. He hands over a note demanding $250,000.
He didn't get that much. The teller could only give him about $9,000 from the drawers. He left the bank. Police caught up with him pretty quickly in a parking lot nearby, and Wells immediately starts telling them he was forced into it, said some men grabbed him, locked this bomb collar on him, and made him rob the bank.
He sounded desperate. Police surrounded him, but kept their distance because of the device. He was yelling at them, "Why isn't anybody trying to get this thing off me?" The bomb squad was called, but they were delayed getting there. And then, at 3:18 p.m., the device started beeping loudly. Seconds later, it detonated, killed him instantly. Reports said it left a hole the size of a fist in his chest.
Just horrific. And the device itself, the investigation showed it was incredibly sophisticated in a grim way, described as a marvel of DIY design. It locked around the neck like handcuffs, impossible for the wearer to remove. It had 4 pipe bombs inside, and crucially, lots of decoy wires, designed to make any attempt to disarm it incredibly dangerous, likely fatal.
And the cane he was carrying, that wasn't just a cane, was it?
No, it was a homemade shotgun, a single-shot firearm, cleverly disguised as a walking stick.
So he was armed and he had this bomb. But the story got even stranger with the notes they found.
Right, it wasn't just rob the bank. The notes laid out this complex scavenger hunt. Wells was supposed to go to several other locations after the robbery, following clues to find keys and a combination to unlock the collar, all under a strict time limit. The note ended with something like, "Act now, sink later, or you will die."
It felt like a game, a deadly game. But the big question was Brian Wells just an innocent pizza guy forced into this nightmare, or was he involved somehow?
That took years to unravel, and the truth was deeply disturbing. Brian Wells was, initially, in on the plan. He apparently owed money to drug dealers, crack cocaine. He agreed to be part of the robbery plot, but crucially, he believed he was going to be wearing a fake bomb, just a prop to scare people.
Oh, wow. So his accomplices.
They double-crossed him. Kenneth Barnes, Bill Rothstein, Marjorie Dale Armstrong, they were the main figures. According to testimony later, they overpowered Wells and forcibly locked the real live bomb around his neck. In an instant, he went from being a somewhat willing participant in a bizarre robbery scheme to being a hostage, doomed from the start.
Why? What was the point of the real bomb, the scavenger hunt, if they could have just robbed the bank?
The alleged ringleader, Bill Rothstein, the handyman who likely built the bomb, his motive wasn't just money. Sources suggest he wanted to orchestrate something spectacular, something that would make headlines, captivate the world. It was about the intricate plot itself. He apparently chose Wells and the others precisely because they were desperate, perhaps easily manipulated. It was all part of his twisted game.
So Wells wasn't entirely innocent, but he was definitely murdered by his own partners in crime.
Exactly. Rothstein himself died of cancer in 2004, taking a lot of details with him. But it's clear Wells was betrayed and sent to his death. It's just a tangled, tragic, and truly horrifying story.
These stories, from floating feet revealing truths about decay and materials, to Tansler's solitary nightmare, Stefani's need for an audience, and the sheer calculated cruelty of the collar bomber plot, they really show the extremes, don't they? Obsession, desperation, the lengths people will go to for control or notoriety. The final answer is often so much darker than the mystery itself.
Absolutely. The reality can be more disturbing than any fiction.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? When people are pushed by debt, by obsession, by whatever dark forces drive them, what lines are they capable of crossing? What limits exist? Thank you for joining us as we walk through these chilling narratives today. If exploring these darker corners of human behavior is something that compels you, please consider supporting our work here. Hit that like button. Maybe share this deep dive with someone else you think would find these stories gripping. And be sure to subscribe to Horror Docs. We'll have more compelling true crime stories for you soon. Until next time.